The film focuses on the story of a woman named Eliza Esposito. She was found abandoned on the river bank as a baby with wounds on her neck. In addition, she was born mute and communicated through sign language throughout her life. By 1962, during the Cold War, Eliza works as a cleaner at a secret government laboratory in Baltimore, Maryland. She lives in an apartment above a movie theater to live her routine life. Before going to work, she meets her friend Giles, who lives next door and works as an illustrator. As usual, she goes to work by public transport bus. At work, she also befriends her coworker Zelda Fuller, who chats with her every day. The secret facility is under the command of Colonel Richard Strickland, who has just captured a mysterious creature from a river in South America. He then takes the creature to the Baltimore facility and tells Dr. Robert to find out more about it. The next day, Eliza meets Richard while she is cleaning the toilet with Zelda. Meanwhile, Eliza sees a bloodstain on the stick that Richard used to carry. Shortly after, Richard suddenly receives a cut on his arm, causing him to lose a lot of blood. Therefore, the head of security immediately orders Eliza and Zelda to clean the laboratory where Richard had the incident just now. As they are cleaning the lab, Eliza accidentally finds Richard's severed finger. Curious about the mysterious creature, she approaches the pipe and discovers that it is a humanoid amphibian. After a while, the security chief comes to the lab to take Richard's severed finger. The next night, Eliza secretly returns to the lab to confirm what she saw yesterday. This time she sees the creature chained to an artificial pool. Out of pity, she gives the creature a boiled egg. Surprisingly, the creature accepts the egg and then carries it into the water. From then on, she begins to secretly visit the creature almost every night. In fact, she brings a vinyl player to play music next to the creature pond. She also teaches him sign language as the two form a close bond day after day until one day Dr. Robert notices their activities from afar. Because of this, Dr. Robert immediately sees his Russian collaborators and gave him all the information about the amphibian man. It turns out that Dr. Robert works for a Russian spy named Dmitry Mozenkov. He also informs that the creature has the potential to communicate with humans. The day Eliza wants to meet the creature, she sees it chained up, enduring pain. When she tries to help him, Richard suddenly enters the laboratory. Fortunately, Eliza manages to hide on the other side of the laboratory. Meanwhile, Richard immediately tortures the creature by electrocuting him until it passes out. Soon after, General Frank, who works for the government, also comes to the lab. Later, Richard convinces him to revive the creature to gain the American advantage in the space race. On the other hand, Dr. Robert disagrees with them because he intends to keep the creature alive for further research. When Eliza learns of the Americans' plans for the amphibian, she convinces Giles to help her free him from the facility. She feels that the creature understands her and accepts all her limitations. Giles later agrees to the plan, despite initially refusing to help her. Meanwhile, Dr. Robert meets with his colleagues to discuss a plan to kidnap the creature. However, his boss tells him to kill the creature instead by injecting poison into his body. Before starting the plan, Eliza prepares an escape route while Giles disguises himself as an employee of the institution. One night, Richard watches Eliza on CCTV. He is not sure that she was mute, so he tries to harass her. Fortunately, Eliza manages to come out of his office. On the other hand, Dr. Robert is seen preparing poison for the creature. He later finds out about Eliza's plan when she secretly changes the direction of the CCTV in the laboratory. As Eliza attempts to free the creature, Dr. Robert suddenly comes to the laboratory and says that he has changed his mind about killing him. He then helps Eliza escape by putting the guard to sleep after Giles is almost caught in his disguise. Although reluctant at first, Zelda also plays a role to make the escape a success. When they get home, Eliza brings the amphibian to her bathtub for the next few days. In addition, she plans to release him in a nearby canal when heavy rains allow him to go out to sea. Soon, Richard interrogates Eliza, Zelda, and the other employees, but he learns nothing from them. Back at the apartment, Giles falls asleep after painting the amphibian man. As a result, the creature emerges from the bath and then devours one of Giles' cats. Later, Giles is very agitated and so is the creature. Stunned, the amphibious man accidentally cuts Giles' hand and immediately rushes out of the apartment. When Eliza returns home, Giles asks her to find the amphibian man. The creature apparently makes it to the movie theater downstairs before Eliza finds him and takes him back to the apartment. The creature then touches Giles' bald head and wounded arm. Surprisingly, Giles notices the next morning that his hair has started to grow back and the wounds on his hand have healed instantly. At the same time, Eliza continues to develop her romantic relationship with the amphibian man every day, culminating in sexual intercourse. General Frank suddenly arrives in Richard's office and informs him that he has 36 hours to recover the amphibian man back or his career and life will be over. Meanwhile, Dr. Robert is informed that he will be deported from the United States in 2 days. When he goes to meet his coworker, Richard secretly follows him behind. During the meeting, Dr. Robert is shot by one of his companions. But Richard in turn not only shoots and kills both of Robert's coworkers, but also shoots him after realizing that he is a spy. Richard then tortures the dying Dr. Robert in revealing the details of the team that pierced the amphibian man. As a result, he learns that Eliza and Zelda are involved. Later, Richard goes to Zelda's home and threatens her to tell him about where she's keeping the amphibian man. At first she insists on keeping it a secret, but eventually fails when her husband reveals that the creature is in Eliza's apartment. Upon receiving the information, Richard immediately goes to Eliza's apartment, and Zelda calls Eliza and encourages her to release the amphibian man as soon as possible. Arriving there, Richard angrily searches Eliza's empty apartment until he finds a calendar note that reveals where she plans to release the creature. Back at the canal, Eliza and Giles say goodbye to the creature. Unfortunately, Richard arrives and immediately knocks Giles out, while shooting both the amphibian man and Eliza. Fortunately, the creature quickly recovers himself and slits Richard's throat, killing him. As the police arrive with Zelda, the amphibian man takes Eliza and jumps into the canal where he heals her in the water. He uses his healing powers to revive her and give her gills where her neck was once scarred. She immediately revives and they hold each other in the water. In the final story, Giles conveys that he thinks Eliza lived happily ever after and fell in love with an amphibian man. So, that's the end of our movie. If you've come this far, make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe my channel. See you later.